So you're in the market for a new laptop, and maybe you've been tempted by one of those new thin Windows Ultrabooks. Let me stop you right there, you're making a big mistake. I'm Vince Roy from the Tech Over, here to tell you why the MacBook Air should be one of your only choices for your next laptop. I like to think of the MacBook Air as a beautiful woman. I mean, look at her, she's gorgeous, she's so thin, and look at the curves on this thing, incredible. I have to say, Steve did a pretty good job on this one. Now, some laptops might be described as butterfaces. That is, everything is nice but the face. With the MacBook Air, it's just not the case. Her face is gorgeous. The resolution is a lot higher than you'll find on most laptops. It's at 1600 x 900, and the colors are absolutely vibrant. Now, looks aren't everything. I also like a woman who responds well to touch. And with her multi-touch trackpad, the MacBook Air lets me do the wildest things to her. Like expose and pinch to zoom, and two-finger scrolling. The one thing I hate is waiting. And thanks to its solid-state drive, my MacBook Air never keeps me waiting. I just turn her on, and within 10 seconds, she's ready to be used. Now, it's not every day that I find a woman that can keep up with me in terms of endurance. But by giving her 7 hours of battery life, Apple's made sure that for the MacBook Air, endurance wouldn't be a problem. It's one of the only laptops that lets you leave the house without a plug and leaves you feeling confident that you'll last through the day. She's got one more feature you might be interested in. Boys, lights please. An illuminated keyboard. I've heard complaints about the MacBook Air not having a big enough hard drive, and I don't necessarily disagree with those complaints. The biggest hard drive you can get is only 256 gigs, which for some people might not be enough. I've also heard complaints about people saying the MacBook Air doesn't have enough ports. That's a good point. It could use a few more USB 3.0 ports and maybe an HDMI port. People often come to me for advice on whether they should buy the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air. To me, the obvious choice is the MacBook Air, for most people. Why? Because it's so much faster day to day and it's so thin. People worry that you can't use big applications like Photoshop and Illustrator on the MacBook Air, something you can do on the MacBook Pro. That's simply not true. This thing is a workhorse. I use Illustrator, Photoshop, Final Cut on this thing every day, and it handles it great. Another concern people have is the lack of a disk drive. I'm not sure who even needs a disk drive these days. I haven't used a disk in over 2 years. Overall, you won't be disappointed if you pick this as your next laptop. She's my personal favorite, and she'll please you in more ways than one. For more reviews with sexual innuendo, come on over to techover.com, and for updates, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.